As we walked, I looked for something to mark Kai's passage through this place, but I found nothing. We see no footprints, no signs of human life. Even the trees are small and stunted, and one of them bears a distinct dark scar right through the center. I feel stricken too. Although the boy who ran to the carving with us talked about recent rains, I still hope to find some of Kai's tracks, and I hope to find evidence of the rising. I open my mouth to ask Indy if she's heard of it, but something holds me back, and I don't. I'm not sure what I expect a sign of rebellion to look like anyways. There's a teeny stream, so small that it almost disappears when Indy and I both put our canteens in the same time. The stream dries up or sinks underground entirely by the time we reach the edge of the carving. In staggering through the dark, I did not notice when the stream begins, only that it suddenly was. Pieces of driftwood wait on the small sandy beaches, bone dry, having floated in on a bigger river in the different time. I can't stop wondering what this might look like from above. A shiny silver thread pulled from one of the choices I saw in the 100 dresses, winding through the vastness of the red rock that is in the carving. From above, Indy and I would be too small to see it all. I think we're in the wrong canyon, I tell Indy. Indy doesn't answer at first. She's bending to pick up some fragile and gray on the ground. She holds it carefully in her hand and shows it to me. An old wasp nest, I say, looking at the thin tissue paper circles turning within and without each other. It looks like a seashell. Indy opens her pack and tucks the abandoned nest safely inside. Do you want to try and go back out? She asks. Go to another canyon? I pause. We've been moving for almost 24 hours now, and we're out of food. We have eaten most of our 2-day rations to give us strength after our long run to the carving. I don't want to waste tablets on going back out, especially since I don't know what might be following or waiting. I guess we should keep going, I say. Maybe we'll see some sign of him soon. Indy nods, hoists her pack, and picks up 2 knife-shaped stones she always carries while we walk. I do the same. We've seen the prints of animals here. I thought we haven't seen a trace of any anomaly yet. We haven't seen a trace of any person, alive or dead. Aberration or anomaly, official or rebel. In the dark that night, I sit and work on my poem. It helps me keep from thinking about all I've left behind. I write another first line. I couldn't find a way to fly to see you, so I walked every step on this stone. So many beginnings, I tell myself, that in a way this good that I haven't found Kai yet, because I still don't know what to whisper to him when I see him, which words would be the very best ones to give. Indy finally speaks. I'm hungry, she says. Her voice sounds so hollow as an empty wasp nest. I give her the blue tablet if you want, I tell her. I don't know why I'm so adverse to taking them, since this is precisely the type of situation Alexander wanted to help me through. Maybe it's because the boy who ran with us didn't seem to want them, or because I hope to have something to give Kai when I see him, since I gave away the compass, or because grandfather's voice echoes in my mind from when he talked about different tablet, the green one. You are strong enough to go without it. And he gives a sharp, puzzled look. A thought comes to mind, and I pull out my flashlight. I shine it around and notice again something I saw earlier, stored away in my memory. A plant. My mother didn't teach me specific names of many plants, but she did tell me the general signs of poison. The plant shows none of those signs, and the very presence of the spikes seemed to indicate that it has something within to protect. It's fleshy and green, edged with purple, and it isn't lush like the vegetation at the burrow, but it's certainly better than the tired trumbles of sticks, leaves that many of the plants here have turned into for the winter. Some of them have small gray cocoons strung along the bare branches, memories of butterflies. Indy watches for moments as I generally pull off one of the broad spiked leaves. She crouches next to me and does the same. We both carefully use our rock knives to scrape away the spikes. It takes a little while, but then we each have a small, skinned looking gray-green piece of plant in front of us. Do you think it's poisonous? Indy asks me. I'm not sure, I say. I don't think so, but I'll go first. No, Indy says. We'll both try it a little and we'll see what happens. For a minute we do nothing but chew, and while it's not the same as the food we've eaten all my life, the society's food, it's still enough to take the edge off the dampened hunger. Cut me open and might find a girl held together not by bone but by string dried stewing. Ones that look like the bark that hangs off trees here in the strips. When nothing happens, after a few moments we both take another bite. I think of another world where that might rhyme and write it down and scratch it back out. It doesn't work. What are you doing? Indy asks. I'm trying to write a poem. One of the 100 poems? No, this one's new. It's my own words. How did you learn to write? Indy moves a little closer, look curiously at the letter in the sand. He taught me, I say, the boy I'm looking for. She falls silent again, and I think of another line. Your hands around mine, shown me shapes. Why are you an aberration? Indy asks. Are you the first generation? I hesitate, not wanting to lie to Indy, but then I realize that I'm not lying anymore. In the society that has discovered my escape, I'm certainly earned aberration status. I am, I say, first generation. So it was you who did something? She asks. Yes. I say, I caused my own reclassification. That's true, too. Or it will be. When my status changes, it won't be my parents' fault. My mother made a boat, Indy said. I heard her shallow swallow another piece of plant. She carved it out of an old tree. She worked on it for years. And then she paddled away, and the officials found her within an hour. She sighs. They picked her up and saved her. They told us she only wanted to try out the boat, and that she was grateful they found her in time. I hear a strange sound in the dark, and I can't place. A sort of delicate movement, like a whispering. It takes me a moment to realize the sound is Indy, turning the wasp nest around and around in her hands as she speaks. I've never lived near the water, I say. Not the ocean, anyways. It calls, Indy says softly. Before I can ask what she means, she adds, later when the officials were gone, she told my father and me what really happened. She said she meant to go. Said the worst part was that she didn't even lose sight of the shore before they found her. I feel that I stand on the edge of the ocean and some knowledge laps at my feet. I can almost see the woman on the boat in the water, drifting farther, seeing nothing behind her but sea and sky. I can almost hear her deep breath of relief as she turns her face away from the shore once was, and I wish she had made it far enough for that. And he says quietly, when the officials found her, what she told us, they gave us all red tablets. Oh, I say, I should act as if I know what happened next. The forgetting? I didn't forget, Indy said, and though it's too dark to see her eyes anymore, I can tell she looks at me. She must think I know what the red tablets do. She is like Kai and Alexander. She is immune. How many more are there like them? Am I one of them? The red tablet tucked among the blue temps me sometimes, and now the way it did the morning they took Kai away. But now it's not because I want to forget, it's because I want to know. Am I immune too? But I might not be. And now it is not the time for forgetting. Besides, it might need the red tablet later. Were you angry when she tried to go? I asked, thinking of Alexander and what he said about how I left. The moment the words leave my mouth, I wish I had said them, but Indy doesn't take offense. No, she says, she always planned on coming back for us. Oh, I say, neither of us speak for a moment. And I think suddenly of the time when Bram and I stood near the little arboretum pond waiting for my mother. Bram wanted to throw a stone into the pool, but knew he'd get in trouble if someone saw. So he waited, watched, and just when I thought he'd lost the nerve, he snapped his arm forward and the rock went in and rippled the water. Indy throws first. She heard about the rebellion on the island off the coast. She wanted to find it and come back for the family. I've heard of the rebellion too, I say, unable to control my excitement. The one I heard was called the Rising. That's the same one, Indy says, sounding eager. It's everywhere, someone told her. They're covering exactly the kind of place it might be. I think that too, I say. In my mind, I see a piece of the translucent paper laid over the society's map. Its markings shown the places the society doesn't know about or doesn't want us to see. Do you believe in the leader called the pilot? I ask. Yes, Indy says, excitement. And then, to my surprise, she recites something in a gentle voice, very unlike her usual brusque tone. Every day the sun rolls by, across the sky and through the night door. Every night the stars light high, above the earth and the shine once more. Any day her boat might fly across the waves and to the shore. Did you write that? I asked, the sudden flash of jealousy cutting into me. I know it's not one of the 100 poems. I didn't write it, and it's not a poem, Indy says with certainty. It sounds like one. I say, no. Then what is it? I ask. I'm learning quickly that it's useless to argue with Indy. Something my mother used to say every night before I went to sleep. Indy tells me, when I was old enough, I asked about it, and she told me that the pilot is the one who will lead the rising. My mother thought it would be a woman who came across the water. Oh, I say, surprised. I always thought the pilot is someone from the sky. But Indy might be right. I remember again the sound of the Tennyson poem and the water in it. Indy thinking the same thing. The poem you said when you were running, she begins. I hadn't heard it before, but it proves the pilot could come from the water. The bar is the ridge and the sand and the shallow place of the water. And the pilot is someone who steers the ship safely in and out of harbor. I don't know how much about the pilot, I say, which is true, but what I do have is my own hopes about a leader of the rebellion, and they don't quite align with Indy's version. Still, the idea is the same. The story of the archivist given me says that the pilot changes over and over. Indy and I both could be right, but I don't think it matters. It could be either a man or a woman coming from the sky or the water. Don't you think? Yes, Indy says, sounding triumphant. I knew it. You aren't the only one only looking for a boy, you're looking for something else too. I look up the narrow river of the sky above the clear, sharp stars. Is that true? I've come a long way from the burrow, and I think, with a sudden feel of elation and surprise, that it's not far enough yet. We could climb out, Indy says softly. Go across the top. We could try going down into another canyon maybe. We'll find him there. Or the rising. She flicks on her flashlight and shines it up to the side of the canyon. I know how to climb. You learn in Samoy. My Providence. We can find a good place tomorrow somewhere. The walls aren't too high and sheer. I haven't climbed like that before. I say, do you think I could do it? If you're careful and don't look down, Indy says. Silence stretches on as I look up and realize that even this limited bit of sky holds more stars than I'd ever be able to catch the sight of the burrow. For some reason, this gives me hope that there's much else I don't see. I hope for my parents and Bram, for Xander, for Kai. Let's try, I say. We'll find a place early, Indy says, before the very light. I don't want to cross the burrow in broad daylight. I don't either, I say. And in the sand I write the beginning line for the first time, and the second line too. I climb into the dark for you. Are you waiting in the stars for me?